I'm gonna try and get her to not bring lunch today. We're
already at 11. We're almost at 10 o'clock.
Sorry.
I'll fix it up.
You ready?
On the agenda.
Okay. We'll just add that in the superintendent comment.
Thanks, class.
All right.
Tastes like chicken, right?
Oh. Those are. There's two there.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we ready? Everybody ready? Yeah? All right. The order at 7:02. First order is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a motion to, first we're going to, so I need a motion to, actually it was to approve the agenda, then we get into discussion, I will amend the agenda.
Make motion to approve the agenda?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? To add an item at the end for an item that wasn't anticipated on approving the lease of the Apple computers for the teachers.
Make a motion to amend the agenda to add computers. Things that matters not anticipated. Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, none? I need a motion to approve the open session minutes of April 25th, 2016.
Make a motion to approve the open session minutes of April 25th, 2016.
Second.
Any discussion, amendments, changes? No? All right, seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? No? Okay, pass. Move on. Community comments. All right, no community comments. Student comments.
So I will be talking to you guys about the ICDC DECA experience. This took place April 23rd through the 27th. It was the 70th annual DECA International Career Development Conference, which was held in the beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. 28 of us from Nipmuc were among the 17,000, I think it was even more, it was closer to 20,000 students from around the country, including Europe, China, and Canada was there as well. Who qualified for the conference. A highlight of the competition was when the teams of Shane Doherty, Peter Shadowski, and Chris Bashara qualified as finalists, finishing in the top 20 of the 250 in their categories. The competition provided a wonderful experience for the students where they had the opportunity to network with students from around the country and the world. It was a really cool experience.
Wow.
Very cool. Talking to other kids that own their own businesses in high school and what they created. Some of it was unbelievable. Like software, and now they're making like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. It's unbelievable. It's a really cool experience. Thank you.
Very cool
Sounds
experience.
great.
All right. Anything else? Well, you want me to say anything?
Absolutely.
I would just say first a big thank you I know it's been 2 years, you've been the student representative. I think this is your last meeting.
It is my last.
So first off, I just wanted to give you, say, job well done. We appreciate you having you here.
Thank you, I love being here. It's a good experience.
Thank you,
We've
Chris.
gotten you a
Thank
little
you.
something.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. There you go.
It was worth it.
See?
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much.
Thank you.
And hopefully you'll be receiving your diploma on June 3rd.
You're right.
You
will, Miss Miranda.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chris.
You.
We appreciate everything.
So with that, we'll move on to superintendent comments.
Okay. First, it gives me a great deal of pleasure every year, every spring. The Blackstone Valley Consortium recognizes educators from all 13 districts through an award program called Promising Practices. And this year, we are recognizing a couple educators that are just absolutely exemplary people and educators from the Henry P. Clough Elementary School. And I think it's a project that has received a lot of positive attention within our community. I know one of our committee members, Diane, her son, was firsthand involved in getting this project up and running off the ground. And specifically what it is the community garden at Clough Elementary School, front and center right as you walk up. Tara Belle-Fontaine and Mary Lee Seipel, Tara being the school nurse and Mary Lee being the school's cafeteria manager, have worked virtually with every single teacher level to work with all of our students to kind of get them to learn the basics of growing produce, of good nutrition, of how to distribute this produce and so on. Whenever I am putting together pictures for wonderful things like the budget document or strategic plans or anything to that effect, I think of that day in September when I went to Clough and I was doing walkthroughs with Jan, and I come across these little guys, I think first graders picking. This was kind of a ritual and a routine. And then bringing it to Mary Lee, that day's bounty for the salad bar. In my humble opinion, this is a picture of everything that is right with education and everything that we should be doing with our kids. So it gives me a great deal of pleasure that on Friday morning at the Asa Waters Mansion in Millbury, Tara will be the recipient of the Promising Practices Award. So congratulations, ladies. Either one of you or Jan, you want to, now that I've embarrassed you.
No, I want you guys to speak, but I just have to say, I am so proud of them because when we got this grant, it was like, okay, it's a great idea, but how are we going to put it into fruition, so to speak? Just made that one up. But these two stepped up and they're very busy with everything they do. And this is like above and beyond. They do this on their own and they're there in the morning. They actually hold the before school gardening club. So she teaches them how to, really get in there. But we did the planting of the green this year, right on St. Patrick's Day. And they went around to every classroom. They got the seeds and the kids were planting. And it was wonderful to see every single child. They talk to the plants now. They try to see which one's growing. It's above and beyond taking care of it. In the summer, she was here on the weekends, rototilling. We've got great families, the Duncans, the Abbots, and 1,000 others that just come in and help in the summer. But it's not an easy keep up all year and take care of, and I couldn't be prouder. And usually the Promising Practice, I know people say it's the education, the teachers, but what they're teaching is so valuable, and they clearly are like part of our team. They're a very important part of our team. I hope you guys know that. I think I tell you that all the time. But it's amazing.
What a great experience for the kids too, to get that gardening right at school, to learn a lifelong skill, really.
If you love to play 60, you would tell them where you're going Wednesday as a Ghana?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. Well, you didn't invite me, you told me Wednesday.
Next Tuesday, we were invited to go to the Sheraton in Framingham for our Field Up to Play program. We get to bring 3 of our ambassadors to go have dinner and learn new stuff for next year, and there'll be a special guest. Maybe down the road there, so.
The recording would be
Yeah, the recording would be good. We've met him, we're good friends now. So it ties right into that.
I just want to say thank you very much for Janice. I think you nominated us for it, and Dr. Henderson. I mean, I'm not an educator.
You are an
You are.
Well, this is very humbling for me to get this award, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane, and your family for helping us.
Okay, thank you. Secondly, I wanted to make all of you cognizant, I'm sure you've seen some of the communication, but recently, within the last couple of months, and the Upton Selectmen have created an opioid task force to really get more information out within the community, particularly with regard to resources, programming that are happening not only in Upton, but within the greater Milford area. It's hardly a stretch to say that this is an epidemic that touches across every single boundary, across all different types of families, all different types of socioeconomic classes, and so on. And behind the task force is really to get more information out there about resources, but also to destigmatize getting out there and asking for help, and asking for those resources. So Ken was good enough to come tonight to talk a little bit about the task force and the vision behind it. So Ken,
Mind if I come up, Joe?
please.
So, Joe, thank you, the school committee, for allowing me to come and talk. So I think it's clear that community, and we all know someone's been touched by this epidemic. I've been touched by on a personal level. My son became addicted to opiates, and I was a parent who was oblivious to what was going on. So I think, as a parent, I was a good parent. I am a good parent. My wife is a very good parent. But I'm surprised by how this affects the family, now it comes up. So, that being said, I thought they came out with some guidelines on how communities can help the members of the town who may be affected. And we follow the guidelines. We have a 10-step process within the town. And it's multifunctional. We have the police department, fire department, and we have citizens in town who are involved. Either professionally, we have a member of the district attorney's office who's in town, who's on the task force, and we have members of families who are somehow affected by it. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide resources, information, and maybe guidance on how to navigate the system. The task force is not really a counseling agency, but it's more to help people navigate. I know on a personal level, when we were confronted with this, we didn't know. You think you know where to turn, but there are so many resources that can be overwhelming. So we also have a community contact, we think only from JAG and community impact. Community impact it is. So if you go to the website, Joe, we have the opioid impact tab. Our editor of the tab is Kelly here. So this is a work in progress. We have a basic mission statement. What we're trying to do is create awareness and engagement. Amy's there. If you click onto her link there, it brings you right to contact information. So she has a private firm, but she's also working regionally with the state to provide resources. She can help anyone navigate the system. Also does private counseling if it's necessary, but she can help do that. We have contacts with the police department. We have needle drop-offs. We have drug drop-off for prescription drugs. We have a one-page resource guide, which is fair to say it is going to be constantly evolving as things change and the resources get added and taken off, whatever. Our primary goal is to reach other families who are impacted by this, who may be impacted by this, individuals who are impacted by it. Very good statement. The first step is getting rid of the shame and blame, realizing that it's a problem that we all are touched by somehow. And that's the first step of making the healing process for everyone.
I do have to say, Ken has brought together a terrific, diverse, and highly talented group of people to the task force, people who are in all different fields. Chief Bradley is part of the task force. You've got some folks that are specialists in addiction and in counseling. So a very, very strong group is involved. One of the things that we're brainstorming, I'm part of the group, not that I'm saying that I'm highly skilled or an expert, but as we're brainstorming programming that we can have for getting the word out. I believe I put in your packet an event that Amy is spearheading, and it's the screening of a film known as If Only. It's a very short film. It's only about 36 minutes. It's going to be at 7 p.m. At Milford High School. And the film was produced by the Wahlberg Foundation. And actually the producer, James Wahlberg, I'm assuming it's Donnie and Mark's brother, right? Is going to be part of the panel presentation after the screening of the film. So I think there's a lot of value. If you have the opportunity, I believe I also put in the packet a link to it. It's also on YouTube. A valuable piece to watch, and particularly if you have a teenager or a preteen, about how this unfortunate epidemic often starts with opiates. So I think we're just starting the process, but I look forward to working with the task force and, as I've said numerous times, education.
So if I could jump in quickly, there's two other resources. One is called In Plain Sight. It is a mobile that will be activated along. As my son, but if all of a sudden something begins to be a little different, but not really a big deal, my son had wore glasses, but also there was a glass case on his desk. Glass case. So it's in plain sight. So simple things like that, this show will go through and show you these things that it's warning signs, it's things to be aware of. Oblivious, it was a good thing for me to see. There's also for the analytical person who I am. The Donnie Wahlberg is good to show you how the kids interact and get involved, but there's another position, and she's on our website, I think we asked to put her on the website. She has about an hour presentation, how the brain chemistry changes opiates. The point, it is no longer a choice for anyone in how that affects them. And it explains how all that happens. It helped me understand it, and also
forgive isn't the right word, but understand what my son went through. It's hard as a parent, you don't understand when a lying happens, my child's lying to me or they're stealing. And you think they're doing it to you. But they're doing it to themselves. And they feel guilty also. But they can't help themselves because of what happens in their mind. So I think as a parent or a loved one involved with someone like that, again, getting rid of the shame and the blame is the first key to making everybody better and realizing help is needed. And there are a lot of resources available, depending on your economic status. There are resources available for everybody. And Upton has chosen to help and be involved as much as they can to help everybody get better. Happy to answer any questions.
I just want to say thank you for being the face and having the courage to address this issue in such a personal level for yourself and for your family, because that takes a lot of courage.
I think part of that, again, that shame and blame thing is when you go to support groups and you sit down and say, oh my God, you too. I think if we all look around, there was somebody within an arm's reach who was affected by this. And that's having an understanding. And again, it's not, maybe the first time was a choice, second time, maybe again, after that, it's no longer a choice. And understanding that, how it affects kids. And one of the things Chief Bradley brought up, I'm focusing on kids, 35, 40-year-old right now. Prescriptions. The same thing happens to them. And it's technically, not technically, but it's felt as almost okay because it's a prescription until it gets out of control. It still happens. And the results would be hopeless. So I hope everybody smiles.
Are we hoping to bring any of these resources to our schools? Like
Some of them,
the one
yeah.
that's
Yeah, exactly. What we put in, thank you, Kelly, for putting this in. We created also a link, our resources, kind of describing some of the programming we have for our kids within the district. But to answer directly your question, yes. Things like if only or comparable programs we're looking to bring into the district, obviously age appropriate. So similar to what we've done with Chris Heron and the Heron Project at the high school, and most recently Chris Sullivan at the middle school, ensuring that it's age appropriate. I know the ESPER screening process we've also have gotten in place here at the high school. I think our wellness people, our school nurse teachers, our counselors have been fairly proactive in staying on top of this, but I think like anything else, we can always do more.
That Amy Leone was brought up, and I have to agree with her. We're focusing on Upton and Mendon, but this is really a regional thing, and it has to be, resources have to be pooled to make it more effective. And Amy is the one who brought up Milford having this. I know it was at the town election, we had flyers here at the town meeting. Get the head out of the sand and see these things. And solve some issues. But regionally, we have to work regionally. One town can't do it on its own. It has to be done regionally. Make it effective.
For the showing at the Milford High School, is there contact?
So what we've done is, as we're speaking right now, an email has gone out district-wide, so all of our parents, and the way they've worked it, and it's good news, flyer, and then they use Eventbrite for a free ticket. As of Friday, they've sold about, or have 375 people have registered. School auditorium's capacity is 800. So they're roughly at half capacity right now. So they were actually delighted that we were putting it out.
And the email has the link to.
It has the direct link to Eventbrite.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
All right, and I have another small picture show for you, but I thought this came up at the last meeting, and I thought I'd give us a status update. Our solar project, and I know Jay alluded to it during our last meeting. The first of our solar farm sites in Dayton is up and running. It was connected last month. So I actually drove to Dayton, snapped a few shots of it. It's actually fairly impressive as far as the size of it. We're still waiting for the rights for the second one in Dayton. It is authorized for interconnection, which we're hoping for September. We anticipate being able to produce about 1.5 million kilowatt hours annually, which translates to about a savings of about $60,000 for the regional school district. So I thought I'd do a little bit of a show and tell, so you can see how it's actually up and running. It's actually, they took out some decent amount of woods, and it's actually a dirt road about a quarter mile off the beaten path to the farm. So, any questions on that? All right, and then last but not least, in your packet, you should have the current year-to-date expenditure report for the FY16 budget. Jay, are there any lines you wish to highlight?
No, so far I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Any questions? Thank you.
All right. With that, we'll move on. So, administrator comments. Accreditation.
So within the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've gotten the final report from the accreditation team that came here that first week of November for NITMUC's 10-year decennial. So you have in your packet a copy of the final report, and John's going to bring out some of the highlights.
Great, thank you, Joe. Thank you, everybody. 6 months ago, I was here getting ready. It doesn't seem like it was 6 months ago. 6 months ago, we were all getting ready for the visit of the accreditation team, and I talked about it in the context of this being a time for full pride for the great work that's been done. And so I was confident and proud and ready for the visit. The visiting team that comes in captures your school community and really gets a clear understanding of what you're all about in 4 days, and they did a phenomenal job with that. So I'm really thrilled to present the findings of the visiting committee. As Joe said, we've had the final report for a couple of weeks. I presented it to faculty today, and I get the chance to officially release it to everyone. Mrs. Moran's going to walk us through some of the slides. I'll go through these quickly for you, but just a reminder, the NES process has been a critical part of our school efforts to grow programming, change the way that we do business. It's research-based best practice, and it's founded on the idea of reflection, evaluation. So on that 4-day stretch in November, we had 16 educators from across New England come to NITMUC. They met with you, they met with kids, they shadowed students, met with teachers. It's an intensive process, and they work long hours. They start at 6 in the morning, they're done at 10 at night, and the product of that is this report. What we do now is share some of the findings of that report. It's a huge source of pride. I met with faculty, I thank them for their hard work. We've made such progress in a short period of time. 11 to where we are now. We're really moving forward, and the team captured it well. So I have behind me a few slides. I stole some quotes from the report. I won't read those directly, but I do want to take a moment just to highlight some of the recommendations and commendations from the report. And I think that's an easier way to sort of encapsulate all the information. So I won't quiz you on it. I hadn't expected you to do all your homework tonight, but I'll give you some crib notes on it so you know what to look for. The first has to do with our core values, our beliefs, and our 21st century learning expectations. Spent a lot of time building these, and it was a slow start for us, deciding how we were going to quantify our values and how they would drive our work. And when the team came in, they really validated that. We have expectations, so these skills that cut across every curriculum area, and we are assessing them in a formal way. We develop school-wide rubrics that each department owns. They assess students on a regular basis, and we're able to report that data out to the community. And it's a process that a lot of schools struggle with. I'm proud of that. But what I was especially happy with in this part of the report is they talked about the way that we're using our values and beliefs to drive our program. The implementation of one-to-one learning, that wasn't something we just threw in. We filtered that directly through our 4 core values and what we believe about learning. In addition, there's a great deal of validation in the report about the 21st Century Learning Center, our conferences that we've been holding, our STEM Scholars Program, our Humanities Scholars Program. Programs into place, you're doing it looking for authentic learning experiences, to have an impartial group come in and validate that and say it's a powerful way to provide kids with 21st century learning was exciting for us. So glad to see that. Move forward, we go to curriculum. Obviously, with Maureen Cohen's leadership, the leadership of the department chairs, and leadership of all of our teachers, a lot of time, effort, and resources have gone into capturing our curriculum in a digital format, putting it into Rubicon Atlas, which is a way that we can look at central questions, enduring understandings, and skills, knew what they were teaching. But now we have it housed in a formal, comprehensive, consistent format conversations. 9 through 12, and more importantly, I think, K through 12. The work that's been done was praised in the report. In addition, they praised the collaborative nature of the faculty members. It's a lot of time and effort in common playing time, the departmental meeting, part of teaching. If you ask a new teacher what they're excited for, none of them's going to say, "Oh, I can't wait for common playing time and curriculum." That's not what it's all about. But on top of their responsibilities with kids, they've taken this on and made huge progress with it. Moving to instruction, I think this is probably the most glowing part of the report, and not surprisingly, look at what makes a successful school. The quality of instruction is the most important thing. What they said in the report, they highlighted the enthusiastic integration of technology, not just using it, but using it well and with excitement and consistently across all departments, which we were really glad to see. We knew it was happening when the chair left on that last day of the visit, and she addressed the faculty. She used the term teaching and learning. I thought, wow, that's wonderful praise from the chair. That's what we wanted to hear. So from one-to-one, you look at the work they've done there, but also providing students with the help they need in the classroom and beyond. There was praise for the dedication of our teachers and the differentiation. It's not bound by the 720 to 220 contract. They're here much longer hours than that, and they're finding a way to make it work for every single student. And that's true. Again, the collaborative nature of the process as well. Open door policy here. There's a lot of sharing of ideas. When one person comes upon a best practice, they share it, and it impacts everybody as a whole classroom. So I was thrilled to see that they were getting praise. From instruction, we go to assessment. Assessment focuses a lot in the report on our measurement of the 21st century learning expectations. The fact that we have a process that we're reporting out and that we're able to put it on students' report cards and also present it here to you each fall is something that a lot of schools struggle with that we're knocking out of the park. So I was thrilled to see that. A lot of mention in the report about formative assessment strategies. I think this has been the greatest impact of tech integration, where our teachers are getting real-time data on student learning, adjusting their teaching on the spot for the individual, for the class, and for all of their courses. That showed up in curriculum, showed up in instruction, but it particularly showed up in assessment, using those efforts of teachers. So excited to see that. School culture and leadership. School culture here, and you see it on the quote behind me, they captured it. This is a positive, safe, respectful environment. Kids like Chris who take leadership roles, take it on seriously, not only in formal settings, but I always point to Chris's example, and I'll probably mention it when he's getting ready for graduation, but first day of school, freshmen in the cafeteria looking for a place to sit down. Chris, our senior class president, gets up out of his seat and gives it to a freshman student so that they have a place to sit. That's the kind of place that I come to work in every single day. And I think it captures it in moments like that as well. There's a really positive culture here. Talked about the way that our advisory program supports that culture and that all of our teachers meet with small groups of students on an ongoing basis. And then praise things that I've been talking a lot about, the expansion of our AP program. So that we've redefined what it means to be a high achiever. 52% of our kids taking the Barker Hospital, taking an AP course. And providing our kids with inclusive experiences. So we have 4 heterogeneously grouped classes, which means we take the leveling away. We're all freshmen and sophomores, put them in the same room, and learn from each other's strengths and differences. And that's been a real success. And that's through a lot of hard work from teachers as well. Talked about the roles that parents have, that students have in the school, and talked also about the collaborative relationship I have with Joe and Joe has with you, and we all share together. And also providing me the autonomy that I need to make decisions to lead this building. All of that was validated before. The school resources, love that picture of Wellness Week. Right off the bat, the first commendation you read has to do with the staff, the dedicated staff that finds a way to meet the needs of kids, and they emphasize in that initial commendation at-risk students and those in need of support. As we're talking about our school counselors, we're talking about our nurse, our library media specialist, our special educators, people who are looking to provide the wraparound services that our students need. Each of those areas were praised from some of the things that Joe mentioned, which are so important, the expert work that our nurses done, our Wellness Week conference that our counselors have provided, and the way that our counselors now are integrated into the advisory program, offering comprehensive guidance curriculum. Something we didn't have just a few short years ago. Community resources. I love that quote. At the high school. I don't think that quote would have been up on the screen 3 or 4 years ago, but there are additional opportunities now, and our kids are able to find their passion through the coursework. It's a direct reflection of the fact that we need to grow. There's a validation in this report of the 21st century learning coordinator, so our career and college coordinator. There's validation in the report of the director of technology integration, obviously the director of curriculum. These have been strategic investments that have helped us grow tenfold. The STEM Scholars Program, 21st Century Learning Conferences, and the integration of professional work in the regular coursework, something we didn't have. And that comes through the vote of confidence of the community and the support that they've provided us. When you look at it also, it talks about the relationships we're building, bringing people in for career fairs, getting our kids on campus. It's been a growing initiative that we've had. 67 commendations came out of this report, which I was thrilled with. And then when you look at it, you couple it also with recommendations. This is not a summative process. There's no A plus, there's no check plus. It is a process where you get instead feedback for growth. So it's formative. We expected to get commendations and we expected to get recommendations. From my standpoint, the best case scenario is getting recommendations that validate our work, that push us to continue to expand, to develop the things that are already started. And that's what we saw. We had a total of 22 recommendations. Joe knows from being on the commission, I had the chance to be on the commission, and I look at a lot of schools over the course of my 6 years working in that role. Rarely do I see a school that has just 22 recommendations for a 10-year period. They stand out as things that we've already jumped on as far as marking as priorities. So formally adopting the school-wide rubric for civics. That's one of ours done already. Providing formal opportunities for teachers to share best practices. Earlier today, we published our Teachers Leading Teachers website, where every Nipmuc teacher is sharing the best practice through a digital catalog that can be updated, that's linked to the teacher evaluation rubric and linked to best practice. Fully implement the plan to report the school community's progress with the civic expectation. Report cards, and that'll be continued in the fall when we're presenting. Develop a process to ensure teachers without department heads have feedback and decision-making like other departments heads. Included in the budget from last year, noted as a priority when we came in November and supported through the central office, which I'm really happy about. A long-range plan for technology. We're getting there. That committee's been meeting probably 8 times now and is on the cusp of presenting that report. These are things that are 10-year goals that before I even receive official notification from NEASC, I can put a check mark next to. So what does that leave? Well, it leaves a continuation. It means we need to continue our work with curriculum. Finish up the great work that's been started through the teacher effort and Maureen's leadership, taking it from stage 1 to stage 2. It means working to do what we've been talking about so much, making sure that all of our kids have opportunities for authentic real-world learning experiences. And then there's a section of the report that talks about something else we expected. 20 years old. When you get to 20 years old, you have carpet that needs to be replaced, you've got parts of the facility that need updating, and this report also gave us a roadmap on how to address and fix some of these recommendations. When you feel like the school is moving in the right direction, when you see it every day and work with the teachers, when the expectations are up here, when the culture is strong, but then when you invite other people into the building and say, tell us what we need to get better at, and they say, keep doing what you're doing. It's a very empowering moment. So I shared that with the faculty today. I told them, be proud, be excited. You know, this isn't an end point. Having them come here and provide this feedback is just a springboard for what's next. Continue to grow. So I tried to move quickly for you. That's about as brief as I can be as I gave you a snapshot. But I want to give you a chance to ask any questions about it as well.
I didn't have any questions, but I was kind of scanning through it, and I wanted to make sure I was looking at the accommodations and the recommendations, and I was just so impressed with, you know, the fact that it says just keep on doing what you're doing, basically. You know, you had a very, very few recommendations, but they were all positive on what we've already begun, what you as a high school have already begun to attack and address and things like that. So it was just a sense of pride as part of this committee to read through the points that they were bringing up and what you've already begun to address. Like you said, even before you even received the report, you had already begun to address that. So I was very proud of what I was reading through. Like I said, I didn't read the whole 99 pages of it. I just, you know, wanted to look at those accommodations and recommendations, and I was just very impressed with what I saw there. Congratulations to you guys.
Yeah, thank you. I accept that. Thanks on behalf of the teachers. They've done phenomenal work. And there are some schools that fight this process. I never understood why. It's best practice. It's research-based. If you can look at the standards, you can find a blueprint for your school improvement. But it takes a community, a school community, united behind that cause, and they have been on board every step of the way. So.
I think I'd be remiss if I didn't commend John and Mary Ann for the incredible leadership that they give us this process, but also commend our high. I mean, this is a remarkable amount of work that's in a highly compressed time period of about 18 months. I've been involved with NEAS for over 20 years. To say this is one of the absolute best NEAS reports I've ever seen, period. It isn't uncommon schools get more recommendations than commendations. You know, as John said, 67 commendations, 22 recommendations. I think that's like a 3-to-1 margin. So I think there's a lot to be proud of. I mean, to think about where NIPMUC was over 20 years ago, that after an accreditation visit, placed on probation, okay? We're at 180 degrees apart from that. So tremendous work by our staff, tremendous leadership by John and Mary Ann. I think it's outstanding, absolute outstanding work.
I would add my own thanks. I know, John, the amount of work that you and Mary Ann and the staff and teachers put into this, it's been a huge thing. But more importantly, I look at where things were. I'll go even shorter than Joe, not go back 20 years, but just back 6. I think about where it was 6, 7, 8 years ago with some of the challenges we had in 2008, right around that time, and able to do, and the momentum you've been able to drive, and the collaboration and kind of focus. It's incredible, and I think that thanks lies squarely on you, your team, the teachers, and as well the students.
Well, thank you very much.
It's great.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
All right. So next on the agenda, subcommittee updates, policy subcommittee.
The policy subcommittee met for this meeting this evening, and one of the recommendations for the school lunch price increase the school lunch by 10 cents. Go from $2.75 to $2.85. This was a recommendation by Jay that should hold us about 5 years before we need to be reevaluated. If we choose 25 cents, we'll probably have to look at it again next year. $18 a year increase. The last time this was in 2010, and it went from $2.50 to $2.75, and it helped to alleviate a huge deficit that was existing at that time. So this will be presented to the school committee, the whole school committee at the next meeting on for your review.
So just a question about that, Jay, just so the current, I understand increased price, but that won't affect all the other programs that are around this in terms of low income and the ability to support those that actually need those.
Yeah, that program stays in place.
Is it just lunch? Okay.
So this is just for the full price.
Full price.
Okay.
And the other policy that we looked at was a draft policy on school lunch account, how to handle the negative balances of that. That'll be next month. Look at pay attention to the account caps that we will be putting into place that will trigger some actions to get those accounts positive.
Excellent. All right, anything else? No? All right, old business, affirmation of the district's school choice status.
Okay, well, per our own policy JFBB and also Mass General Law, Chapter 76, Section 12B, which is on inter-district school choice, we as a committee on an annual basis voted to either affirm or deny the status of the district as a school choice district. So it's my recommendation that you, someone make a motion and you vote to affirm our status as a choice district. What we need to do by June is to at least do the initial announcement of how many spots we have per school, per grade level. But seeing as our present our present status is, I believe exactly a 3-to-1 margin. Right now we have 135 students choicing in and 45 choicing out. It makes good sense for us to maintain our status as a choice district.
Okay, could I get a motion?
Motion to your status as a choice district, school district.
Second,
Second.
any discussion?
May I ask a question? I'm sure it's been discussed before, I just don't remember. How do we determine the numbers of students that we let in as a choice?
It's done
School.
by each principal on a grade level basis. So essentially it's a decision around the potential seats are there. So say somebody like Jan was taking a look at numbers, okay? And she had 3 sections, 2 sections of 20 and 1 of 18 to equalize it. And she might say, okay, I've got 2 openings in the kindergarten. We generally have places where there's natural entry points where our largest choice populations are. It's usually kindergarten to some degree, then grade 5. Largest entry points is grade 9 here at the high school. But it's not uncommon that, Jan would know better than I, but if my memory serves me correctly, Clough and Memorial, they were either 0 or very, very, very few openings in grades 1 through 4. At that point, you have your numbers pretty well locked in.
Correct.
Yeah, especially going to fourth next year, I have 25, so I'm not thinking.
Yeah.
Kindergarten, the rest of it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none, it passes. Great. Presentation of Brandon CopSync software platform.
Okay, I'd like to invite Brandon Flanagan, who is the CEO of Brandon CopSync 911. And Chief Bradley, please take a seat, Brandon.
Good evening.
So I gave you some brief background notes, but this is something that myself and members of our admin team were alerted to, I want to say going back last fall by Chief Bradley, about this software platform that I think is a very smart, proactive step in ensuring safety. Situations, with all due respect, Brandon, I love your product and I never ever want to use it. And which I'm sure you probably hear on a common basis. But I've been finding that more and more districts across the state and definitely regionally have gone to this type of platform for better communication in the event that there was some type of situation or some type of intrusion. What I will do very briefly is show a video that kind of explains exactly how the product works, and then gentlemen, if you want to just touch base, or we could have just some formal question and answers about it.
Wisely, the Chief Technology Officer for Brandon CopSync. I'd like to talk to you today for a few minutes about CopSync 911. So what is CopSync 911? Well, when a building such as a school, government building, or business is under threat, law enforcement needs to know quickly to get on the scene as rapidly as possible. One is the solution and is America's only real-time threat alert system. It's a real-time system in that it immediately connects the staff of the building under potential threat with the 5 closest officers to that building's location. It takes school security to a new level. Review of how CopSync 911 works. A staff member from their computer triggers an alert, which opens up a real-time chat window with the 5 closest responding officers and their dispatcher. Notification of that alert is also sent out to subscribers. It's a real-time chat with the building and their dispatcher, along with a map of the building's location and the building's diagram, so that they can make the safest approach based on the threat. That is open simultaneously with the dispatcher, so that they can provide further information to the responding officers as to what's going on at the threat location. Let's go over a brief demonstration about how a CopSync 911 alert is sent. First, in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, you'll double-click on a CopSync 911 button. That will start a 15-second timer, and these 2 buttons here can be used to either send the alert immediately or cancel the alert to prevent any false alarms. Once the timer has elapsed or the send alert button has been pressed, up in the right-hand corner of this window, you can see all of the dispatchers and the 5 closest law enforcement officers to your location, as well as anybody in your location that becomes a part of this real-time chat. This chat window can be used to talk directly to the dispatcher and the 5 closest law enforcement officers to let them know any details about what is actually going on at your location that can trigger the alert for. Since 1980, over 300 people have been killed in over 140 school shootings. Starting in January of 2013, there's been a school shooting incident every other month. CopSync 911 is a real-time answer to this long-time problem of senseless acts of violence. Police departments subscribe to the CopSync or CopSync responder networks will receive a call for help in seconds instead of minutes. It is proven that an expeditious response by first responders saves lives when these seemingly unpreventable tragedies occur. The safety and protection of the students and staff of our public and private schools and universities is our ultimate responsibility, so let's make a commitment to their safety. Don't wait for this kind of event to put countermeasures in place. For any threat, there is an alert. CopSync 911. Call Brandon CopSync today for more information.
So that's a basic overview of the program. It would entail having.
Hi, I'm Merritt Weisenstein, the Chief Technology Officer for Brandon CopSync.
It would entail having the application throughout our buildings, but also could be on mobile devices. I think something that's very powerful about the mobile device, it would also, whoever activated it, it would have GPS coordinates of where exactly that device would be. The film, the short video rather, also alluded to that both the Mendon and Upton police would also have plans of each of our 4 buildings. Really, this has to be a cooperation of the regional school district, but also our departments as far as dispatchers and also the stations, the cruisers having this software. So I've had dialogue with Chief Bradley and also with Chief Horn. We're all in agreement that this is a smart investment. For the regional school district, the startup costs are $8,800. But the good news is we've applied for it. We've received a $5,000 grant from Maya, a loss prevention grant, to get this up and running. So I don't know, Chief or Brandon, if there's any overview or your perspective, Chief.
Yeah, just as some background, over the last 3 to 4 years, we've been meeting regularly with Principal Swain and also Anthony Steele at Blackstone Valley Tech. Approximately a year ago, we met to look at different software programs that would really fill a need for us. One of the problems or challenges that we have is during an event is the communication portion. So we've built our plans on getting information out on whether to lock down or to evacuate and allowing the teachers to make some of those decisions. They need the best information that they can get. Us to do, and there's other programs as well, is for a teacher to that alert and open up that chat room where law enforcement, administration, staff can all see what's going on in real time and make some good decisions about how to proceed. So we came across Brandon CopSync, the program. We felt that this really had all the elements that we need for our safety plan. It allowed us to put emergency response plans, building plans into that software so we can access them quickly. It was a very competitive price for what we needed.
Other questions, thoughts?
So the software is loaded on all the computers.
Correct.
And what about student? I saw that there's a cancel or.
Yeah, it's my understanding that you would have to hit, after you activate the app, it gives you a second 15 seconds. That would be in the event that you hit it by mistake. You know, somebody told an anecdote about their toddler playing with the phone and hit it by mistake and so on. So it gives you seconds where you can cancel the activation.
And Blackstone and Noble and BBT are already using this system?
Blackstone Noble, I believe, has signed on. DVT, we've been working with them together, and they've signed on and agreed to it. One of the great things about this for us is that if there's an event here, DVT administration, so they'll get a notification and vice versa, because we do share some resources in the event that there's a serious incident.
What's the occurrence of false, because kids, I'm just thinking about some
impulsive type personalities who have access to this on their computers and don't want to take a test today, or, you know, that kind of
Sure.
thing. How is that?
That's a great question, and candidly, it's a question that we get pretty frequently. So a few things. First and foremost, it's not generally deployed onto computers, devices, or machines where students would have easy access to them. So that's to say, computer lab computers or libraries would not be devices where this would be loaded onto, but rather we want to keep it confined to faculty, staff, and administration for that exact obvious reason. I can tell you that statistically speaking, and being deployed in 14 states around the country and thousands of schools, the actual activations by accident, if you will, are very, very limited in nature. And we really attribute that also to the program that we've developed, that we've worked to implement with the district and the teachers and staff collectively and individually on proper usages of the program and things to do and things not to do.
What's the cost involved if there is an accidental?
There would be no cost involved in that sense. The startup cost is what the superintendent had alluded to earlier. And then you have free reign on when to use it. And something that we encourage as an organization is at least quarterly testing. So what's pretty unique about the software is that in collaboration with the police departments, you can place the program in test mode or as frequently as you wish. Something that we say quite a bit is if we're testing for fire alarms or fire drills, things of that nature, we should be doing the same thing in this sense as well.
To test that when we do our lockdown evacuation drills.
One of the things that I thought was also interesting about the product is it could be used in reverse as well.
Yeah.
So say there was an event happening in Upton, we use as an example, a chemical spill off the railroad. The Upton police could notify Upton to go into a lockdown or a shelter-in-place type protocol.
In situations, if I may, where this has been used in reverse, is something as simple or that you may overlook on a regular basis, that police department is chasing, a bank robbery suspect through town, and one of the schools may be on recess. So we have the ability to alert them in reverse so they can take proper action depending on what that situation dictates. So a very powerful feature in that sense.
I think the point is that the software is really a connectivity tool to kind of integrate the police departments, the schools, and other kind of core kind of service areas that makes sense. For example, your company is in the middle of that connection. So if there is an event, it's really about the protocols we have in place in order to back out and validate and all that kind of
That's
stuff.
correct. Right. The primary mission of COP 911 is really to reduce law enforcement response time. So we've seen post Sandy Hook, all of these great studies that have come out of the DOJ reveal to us and would mitigate these situations is to get the good guys on the scene much quicker. So that's the premise of which we operate off of.
So ideally, they'd have these on their iPads. Teachers and administration would have it on their iPads.
Or desktop,
Would they also have it on their cell phones, or would it just
if
be,
they chose to, absolutely.
if they chose to?
Yeah, and we find that works very, very well in districts, especially where you have administration that may travel in a regional setting from one school to another, or even other types of staff members that travel throughout the district during the course of the workday. Not only that, it allows them to send the alert based on GPS location, but also provides a redundant layer so that the teacher isn't in front of their computer during the course of the day. They have an option to send that from a mobile device that may be on their person, whether it's cafeteria duty, outside a recess, or a field trip for that matter.
So there's a startup cost, and then there's a one-time
The
annual cost,
annual, correct.
and that's the 8,200 that you're talking about. 88.
We were in negotiation and discussions, so we've actually built it.
So a couple of quick questions. So it's a cross-platform technology, so it isn't tied necessarily to the
That's because we have applications both native and cross-platform for the various devices and operating systems. So we have native apps for Mac, and we have native apps, of course, for Windows devices.
And the subscription structure is software as a service, or is it a license we buy with a maintenance fee, or?
It's a SaaS model, so that model will cover each organization completely and fully. There's no limited or set number of licenses that you would have to purchase or procure.
That's good for, how long is it? Or is it just 1 year and then?
our quotes for FY17, correct?
Correct. Yep. And we can work that in for subsequent years as well.
Other questions? So what do you need from us?
Nothing, I just, for informational purposes.
Excellent.
With all due respect.
Thank you. It's always good.
Well, thank you for your time, and thank you to the superintendent and the chief for their leadership during this to the district. This would be a great thing. Thank you.
Great. All right. So staying on the theme of technology, we will move to the last item on our agenda, which is the item that was just put on. Around the Apple lease.
Okay, I believe I sent all of you a copy of the lease documents. And I apologize for seemingly the last minute nature, but I found out very late last week the requirements of Apple lease is they want to see school committee minutes where the school committee actually approves the lease. As the documents say, we've decided we're going forward with laptops for our professional staff for this coming year. The lease total is for a total amount of $290,620 over 4 years, which translates to 4 annual payments of $75,020, which is at a fairly competitive 1.67% interest rate annually. So that's the bottom line of where we are. So we need a formal motion and a vote to. Is there anything that I'm missing, Jack?
Nope, I think you covered it all.
And as I said in my background, it's covered in the FY17 budget.
Joe, the one thing is we do need the board secretary to sign that piece of paper.
Okay, yeah, that'll be Dorothy.
And the computers that we're actually leasing are the desktops that we're replacing?
Desktops.
Yeah, the ones that are 5 or 6 years old?
5 years.
Can we have discussion now, or we can make a motion?
Discuss what?
What, going from, if all of the teachers are used to the HP desktop type, Windows type platform, going from the Microsoft
To the
Apple.
Apple operating system.
Right, it's.
I think there's going to be some cases. I think there's going to be some cases where we're definitely going to have to provide some training
That was
to
my
get used to
questions.
the new operating
Because
system.
it is it's a significant change if you're, if you've always
Sure.
used the.
But realize a lot of the same tools, such as the Microsoft Office Suite,
It looks just, it's a
and
little bit.
particularly a lot of the Google applications and Google Drive applications. They'll still be pretty
Right.
transferable. So my gut is probably the biggest piece will be getting used to operating
Right,
system.
and we're gonna do some professional development or
Correct.
opportunities to have teachers introduced and
Correct.
get that understanding.
And realize that it's not 100% across the board. There are some of our office staff members who will still be in a Windows platform and they'll still have.
Make sure we had some training for teachers because it is a significant shift in getting used to an Apple versus the
Sure.
PC.
Where did that decision come from? Is he
It came from, believe it or not, our staff. We had our principals survey. We first discussed it as a leadership team, but then we had our principals survey their staffs. And first the decision was, want to stay with desktops or do we want to go to laptops? So the answer became laptops. Do we want to go with a PC-based laptop or do we want to go with a Mac? And pretty much universally goes back.
And what was the, I just scanned that quickly, what was, did you list a cost difference or anything? That was investigated, the difference between going with the PCs versus the Macs?
As far as the laptops?
Yeah.
Hey, can you help me with that?
MacBooks were about 1,140, I think, a device. Would have been about 750, 775, so they're a little bit more.
And the lease structure,
4-year lease.
buyout?
It's, excuse me, it's $1 buyout at the end. You'll probably be getting another lease here at your next meeting, HP, for the desktops that we're also leasing. This is match both.
So what's making the determination on who gets what or how those things are distributed?
The principals. What we did is have the principals kind of go through their staff members, and really the key piece was providing instruction to students, and that really was the largest essentially, right?
Right, yeah, absolutely. And we did look, in getting feedback from staff, they noted that a traditional desktop is preferable in computer labs rather than moving to one of these. But it's a place to stay with what we had before. But yes, it was looking at who's providing instruction, who's in an office position.
So these leases, well, this one and the other one actually are focused not only on replacing teacher desktops, replacing the computer lab desktops as well.
We're basically replacing all of the devices. Some of the computer labs, the devices are 7 and 8 years old.
Yeah.
They, you know, I won't say they running Windows 3.1, but they might be.
Okay. So the teachers are going to be getting the Macs, and the labs are going to be getting the HPs.
Right, and the people, someone like myself that works at a desk and lives in Windows-based products, will stay with desktop.
Okay.
It's mostly an instructional thing, I would say.
With the difference in price, what was the reason why we went with Apple versus a traditional? Was there added benefits?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say ease of use, power, something like what you see in and out, where I am my MacBook and I decide I want to hook up to a smart board. I can do it very easily with Apple TV. I can't do it with PC-based. Yeah, well, there is a workaround around it, but it's kind of glitchy and kind of complex. It kind of makes sense with the investments that we've made within the district, not only at the secondary level with the one-to-one program, but even what we've done at the elementary level with smart boards. You know, and John brought this up as just kind of a quick aside, but if you've owned a MacBook and you've owned a PC laptop, you close it, you open it up again, and guess what? It comes back up pretty quickly. Probably can't say that about a PC laptop. Been a solid Mac user since 2008. I don't see myself returning back to the PC world ever.
You just closed it.
Wanted to see how fast it actually happened.
It's still not coming back.
We got killed it. See, this picture.
Other questions or thoughts?
Any thoughts, Mrs. Gentili?
I love my MacBook. This is 5 years old, has a lot of miles on it, and it still works like a charm, I'm not even kidding.
I have a little Windows 8 laptop at home. I've already had to bring it in twice for repair. It's just, and it's seamless with our one-to-one iPad program as well. That's what I also like about it.
All right. Any more discussion? Do you need a vote from us?
Made a motion about,
Okay, I get a motion on the Apple lease.
Make a motion to approve the Apple lease.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. So any more topics that were not anticipated 48 hours at the posted meeting? Now, meeting on June 6th, we'll look at the school committee reorganization and the approval of the technology plan. I would imagine we'll also do the review of the technology plan.
And we'll also first read those two.
We'll first read those two policies. And then the following meeting on June 20th, we'll have the Golden Apple Award for the end of the year.
When did the, we're sitting down at a week.
very short,
The nominations for that.
very, very short,
Okay.
very short.
Just want to make sure.
Any other questions, thoughts, statements? With that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Beautiful. We filed, all those in favor? Aye. All right, we adjourn at 8:17. Thank you. Chris, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Do this, I? Oh, I did?